Yo, welcome to Magic Corp's YouTube. Today, we're going to check out a game with Single Strike, Urshifu, Umbreon, whatever you want to call the deck, Single Strike box. This is Grant Manley's list. He's a very good player, started streaming on Twitch. You check him out at twitch.tv/TrickRoar, but after you check out twitch.tv/mellow_Magikarp. Today, we're going to do a VOD review of a game that I had played on stream the other day, right before recording the Lake of Rage podcast with Tord. So be sure to check out that one as well. But I like this deck. It's been performing pretty well. I think it survives as well, which is incredibly important. If you're like, Mellow, what's a good deck that's going to survive until IRL play returns? I think 100% chance Single Strike will still be a viable meta deck going into IRL play returning. Will it last until Worlds? Heck if I know. That's too far away. But going into like Salt Lake City Regionals, the first one, which I'll be attending, Single Strike is definitely a deck that I think will still be meta, and I think you could still definitely like day 2 or better with. Obviously, depends on what the meta is going to be. So this is the list. It'll be down below as well. Shout out to Grant for the list. He did all of the work, but we're going to go ahead and, like I said, talk over a game, and I'm going to point out some correct plays, some incorrect plays as well. Let's go ahead and check out that gameplay. All right, so we're going to check out this game. We're watching on 1.25 speed right now. We are playing Single Strike on the ladder. I'm going to throw a pause out there. We do not know what my opponent is playing. We did win the coin flip and got to go first, which is so big. This deck definitely wants to go first. So the question is, who do we start? In this case, I want to start that Rapid Strike Urshifu. We want to ideally attack on turn 2, so we already want it in the active. And the Houndour, we don't want it to like get strafed, for example, because then if my opponent strafes it, they get their Urshifu out of the active, of course, but also that sets up a Houndoom to be KO'd. So the chance that it is something like that, we don't really want it to take any damage. Dragapult as well. If they're able to like bite it, for example, it's not super great. Obviously, we don't want the Urshifu necessarily in the Dragapult matchup, but the Houndour, we just don't want to let it get that little bit of auxiliary damage. So we want to start the Single Strike Urshifu, and we're going to bench the Houndour next turn. We get a mulligan, which is very big. The hand needs one of two things, a draw supporter or an energy. Ideally, a capture energy would be really nice. The ideal turn 1 for this deck is either 2 Houndours down or an attachment and a Houndour. If you're going second, you assume something's going to get knocked out, so you might need a little more, but going first, you either need an attachment and a Houndour or 2 Houndours, in which case you can attack on turn 2. So we need one of those 2 off of this mulligan plus this top deck. If not, we can always quick ball. Grab a Crobat and dig deeper, but ideally you don't quick ball and Crobat. Benching Crobat is always a little bit sketchy. It's like a free 2 prizes. It's a bench space in a deck that doesn't have a ton of bench space. That was a great top deck. Okay. So now we have this hand. If you watch the Get Good Academy video on sequencing, you know that there is a correct order to do Great Ball versus Quick Ball here. So what we have to really consider is, what do we want this turn? I said earlier, a Houndour and an energy, or 2 Houndours. We have the Houndour, we have the energy, so we're pretty darn good to go there. What I want to do is go ahead and Great Ball first. Great Ball is random. We don't know what we're going to get. If we Quick Ball first, we're just thinning the deck for Great Ball, but we want to draw a Crobat or a Houndour off of this. So we're going to go ahead and Great Ball first. We're going to see what we can grab. Single Strike Urshifu. Not super great. We are going to go ahead and grab it off of this, though, because we might want it for next turn. We see my opponent has a Zamazenta in the active. So they can technically KO me on this opening turn. Probably not, but grabbing the Urshifu is not bad here. It increases our chance of top decking next turn. It increases our hand size too, to potentially scare our opponent into using Marnie against us, because we currently don't have a draw supporter. Something important is you've watched the Get Good Academy videos, you know, you keep track of this. I'm going to take a Single Strike Urshifu, so my opponent, as they count my hand, they should be minusing 1 and saying, well, I know they have a Single Strike Urshifu in hand, so what are the odds the other cards are good? Bad players, which is an average player, honestly. An average player is going to look at the hand and say, that's a lot of cards. I need to Marnie them instead of research here. So I want to grab the Single Strike Urshifu to potentially bait that and to increase my chance of a top deck. It's really just 2 positives. And it technically gives me an answer in case they get a knockout on this. But if they get a knockout, we probably lose the game anyway. So we definitely grab it there for a couple reasons. Now the question is, do we want a Quick Ball? Grab a Houndour. Potentially bait a Marnie. Do we want a Quick Ball? Grab a, a Crobat? Or do we want to throw it down in the Tower of Darkness? Or do we want to attach pass? Heckin' lot of options. If we throw it down in the Tower of Darkness, we only play 2 stadiums. Crystal Cave is more likely to stick. Or we can play it this turn, potentially get 2 uses out of it. In this specific matchup, my opponent plays, I'm assuming 4 stadiums. When you see a Zacian, you see a Zamazenta, you assume 4 Crystal Caves. One of the only ways that the Zacian Zamazenta deck wins the game is by Zamazenta walling with Crystal Cave in play. So we don't really want to throw it down necessarily. Save it for next turn so we have potential. I don't want to throw down a Crobat either, because what do I really even hit off of this Crobat? We're already going to attach an energy. We're going to quick ball away another card, throw down the stadium. That's just a lot that we don't need to do to maybe get one more Houndour down. My opponent doesn't play Path. We're good to go there. I think saving this quick ball is actually optimal here. Saving the tower is optimal as well. Throw down a Houndour. We're going to throw down a balloon on the Houndour as well. Potentially bait out an early tool scrapper for my opponent. If they don't scrapper it, great. If they do scrapper it, that's fine too. And go ahead and hit the pass button. I want to save the quick ball to potentially Crobat next turn. What am I going to draw off the Crobat that I can use this turn? Like that, maybe a Houndour. I've already attached the energy, and if I'm going to Crobat, I'm going to attach that energy anyway. There's absolutely no reason to do anything else with this hand. If I Crobat, I'm probably just going to draw a couple cards, put a squishy thing on the bench, and get Marnied out of it, potentially. If I don't get Marnied, then I still have the Crobat in hand. If I do get Marnied, I get a new hand anyway, so we're fine. So less is more with this deck. We got everything we need turn 1 going first. My opponent, we see they're playing a little bit of a funky deck. They have the Zacian V-Union and the Articuno in the deck, but I still wanted to feature this game because I feel like there was a lot of options in it. Single Strike has a lot of the time, either you lose because you brick or you win by just plowing over your opponent. And this game felt like it was a pretty good little back and forth and a few decisions being made as well. So that's why we're featuring it. They do go ahead and Marnie me here. I don't think they had a choice because they had a Pokegear there. And we draw pretty poorly off of this. Another reason we didn't Crobat last turn, we got Marnied into a Great Ball. We have 2 Crobats left in the deck still. So we didn't thin the Crobat out. We don't have a useless 2 prizer on the bench, and this Great Ball is more likely to hit a Crobat. So we top deck an Evo Incense. We really want to hit a Crobat off of this Great Ball. So the question is, do we Incense first to thin the deck? The answer is actually no. In this situation, we have, I think it's 5 cards or 6 cards on the bottom of the deck. So we have a 44 card deck, but Marnie was like, let's say 5. There's 5 cards on the bottom of the deck. So that is 39 cards left in the deck that are unknown. If we Evolution Incense, the deck gets shuffled. So instead of a 39 card deck, we have a 43 card deck. That has therefore decreased the chances because we don't want to draw any of the cards that we had off the Marnie. There was no Crobats in there. We can't Great Ball into a Crobat off of that. So because of that, what we want to do here is we want to Great Ball before the Evo Incense. Thinning the deck with the Evo Incense, even though we know we need a Houndoom, does not help us draw a Crobat off the Great Ball, which is one of our main goals. So we should go ahead and Great Ball here. Hope to hit a Crobat. That'd be really nice. If we don't hit a Crobat, we're in a bit of a tough spot. We can still get a single strike Roar. And here I'm currently debating it, but we've already explained why the Great Ball is the correct choice here. We look, ooh, some dark Pokemon, but not the correct dark Pokemon. Kind of sucks. Then the question becomes, do we grab Houndour? Do we grab the Umbreon? The Urshifus, I think most of you have an idea of why neither of these are correct. We're not going to VMAX this turn. Doesn't actually help us do anything. And another single strike Urshifu doesn't really help us do anything either. So in this case, I think I want to grab the Umbreon off. The reason I want to grab the Umbreon is we don't need more Houndours. If my opponent boss KOs, that's fine. It's like, I mean, it sucks, but it's like more Houndours isn't really going to help me a whole lot there. So I think we want to grab the Umbreon to potentially play the Umbreon VMAX as an option, or we can mean look stall as well. My opponent also has the Articuno on the bench, which is super interesting, but it is Dark Weak. So it is a nice little squishy thing we can potentially KO later on in the game. So when you're playing single strike, one of the things you almost always want is an Umbreon V on the bench to threaten the VMAX Dark Signal for a boss. Then we're going to go ahead and, the Evo Incense for the Houndoom probably makes sense. I'm going to laser focus here, just take another quick little look at the deck, fail it, potentially also bait my opponent into, maybe I have an energy in hand. They should know better than that because I didn't attach an energy last turn, but again, sure, why not? Take a quick look at the deck. Totally fine there. And then, yeah, go ahead and fail it. Or maybe think, energy are prized. There's no real reason not to. Let's see, does my opponent have anything? Do they have to Marnie me? Do they research? Do they get their Zacian V-Union in play? That would be very impressive, for sure. And no, they just go ahead and Professor Oak. You'll love to see the Oak. So the Zamazenta is still vibing in the active. Now, next turn, we do knock out the Zamazenta if they do not get a Cape of Toughness. That's really cool. Very happy with that. So we're not in a good spot. We haven't played a draw supporter. We haven't played a Crobat, but we can still win this game somehow. And that's very fun. Just kidding. There's the cape. So now we have to make a slightly different play. We do have the boss in hand. So again, we don't have much in hand, but unless we top deck a draw supporter, we're probably going to go ahead and KO the Zashi. I'm really hoping my opponent gets unnecessarily aggressive this turn and going to play like a saucer or 2 saucers or something like that to the Zashi, so we get full value out of this boss. But we need cards. Taking a prize here, does it advance my win condition? Technically, yes. But the big deal here is we ain't got nothing in this hand. Hand is pure booty. Prizes, 2 more cards. What's in the prizes? I didn't check my prizes because I'm a bad player. But in theory, we should know. And in theory, they're 2 good cards. Top deck and Evo Incense. Cool. So we can do a couple things. We can either grab a Houndoom or we can grab a VMAX. If we grab a VMAX, we're not exactly in a good spot. It doesn't actually help us do anything because now we don't KO anything. So we don't really want to do that. We assume my opponent's going to knock off an energy next turn. So grabbing a Houndoom means they're going to knock off the energy. We're going to be down to 2 single strike energy on the Pokemon, but we can go ahead and accelerate, get up to 4 and hit really hard, or most importantly, VMAX KO this if we take a VMAX or an Incense off the prizes. Said, I'm bad. I didn't check my prizes. Is there one in the prizes? I don't know, but there might be. This is why you always check your prizes. So you can go ahead and Incense, grab a Houndoom. This both makes it a little worse for them to boss KO and also thins the deck of another card. And then we're going to go boss KO the Zacian. It does not remove any energy from play, which kind of sucks. Like I said, it gives us 2 cards, and as of right now, we need cards. 2 prize cards is way better than none. We're going to go 2-2-2 in this matchup to win the game. There's the boss. I would have liked to see the Evo Incense here, thin the Houndoom out of the deck. Yes, it removes our out to a VMAX, but that's fine because they're going to knock off the energy anyway. Now, we do get bailed out. We get a research. We have the Urn in hand as well, so they're going to knock off our energy. Most likely, they could get a Bronzong down this turn, get a Zacian, and just completely body us. So that Incense should have been played. Like I said, it thins the deck, gets a second Houndoom down, which lessens the amount of cards we're going to need on the following turn. Now my opponent, they have the Assault Tackle. Okay. There's another Zacian V piece going into the discard pile. We also see a switch go down, which is really big. Mean Look Stalling might be a way to get us back into the game. We're technically winning the game, but it doesn't feel good, like, at all right now. We're just kind of surviving just enough to be in this game still. Otherwise, we should be losing this game, and we're really always like a turn away from losing this game. There's the familiar bell. Yo, you've got a follower on Twitch. Make sure in the description box, go follow the Twitch channel where we originally played this game. Anyway, there's a quick ball. Ooh, likely going to grab a... Just kidding. I was assuming it was going to be a Crobat there, but my opponent is going to go ahead and grab a Zacian, knock me out. This is an interesting aggressive play. We can punish this play, potentially. What we need to do is obviously promote the pivot, the Houndoom with the energy. And if we can get down an Urshifu with an energy, we can KO the Zacian. Now, one thing I see a lot on the PTCGO ladder, this used to be really preached when I started playing by content creators, and content creators have since stopped talking about this. And they definitely should not have stopped talking about this because it's still really important. Always promote the pivot. What is a pivot, Mello? That is a great question. Our pivot is our Pokemon with free retreat. In this case, Houndoom with the Air Balloon. You don't even have to think. You should take literally 0 seconds after something gets knocked out. Shove this thing in the active. It is a waste of time, and game time is so important. Not just action time on PTCGO, but game time IRL. Shove this thing in the active. You can retreat it later. You can change your mind. If you promote either of these two, it's just wrong. Yes, we have a balloon in hand, so technically it could be correct. Sure, that's fine. Always promote the pivot. If you have something with free retreat, always, 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 always promote it after something else gets KO'd. Because then you can decide, I'm going to retreat into something else, and we're good to go. Finally, freaking top deck, but we already got one off the prizes, so it's fine. What we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and Evo Incense to grab a Houndoom. Should have been done last turn, but it's fine. We got bailed out by the prizes and still top deck to research. Good for us. We're going to go grab a Houndoom. We're going to Urn of Vitality. We're going to throw a balloon down. Question is, where do we put the balloon? We should go ahead and put the balloon on the Houndoom because that's the one that can get boss stalled. Can't really boss stall an Umbreon because it can still attack. So how are we going to win this game? Also, good question. KO Zacian, KO Articuno most likely is the path to victory here. Heck of a good draw. So what we can do now is we can go ahead and bench another Umbreon. Really good. That way we're threatening a Dark Signal next turn to boss. And currently we have 2 single strike roars plus the energy plus the Umbreon VMAX. We're hitting exactly 220. What we can do is single strike roar, attach, bench the Umbreon, threaten a Dark Signal next turn. We can throw down the Houndour as well. Gets it out of the deck, which is kind of cool. Threatens another Houndoom as well, which could actually come in handy because if my opponent's able to take a knockout, maybe they play Crushing Hammer, surprise, and we have to like earn and do a bunch of other stuff that way. It might matter. So we can go and bench the Houndour. It's not going to get boss stalled. It is one retreat. So bench the Umbreon. We're going to threaten a Dark Signal. Bench the Houndour. We're going to go ahead and evolve the Umbreon. Do not use the ability. Single strike roar, knockout. We could also not evolve into the VMAX, but the reason I want to evolve into the VMAX here is I want to protect the energy. My opponent could technically pull a Zacian out of nowhere, and I really want to say you can't do that anymore. If my opponent attacks with the Zacian, they also have to have a cape. The odds of them going Zacian, Saucer, cape is super, super, super low. Now they could still V-Union, and the V-Union could KO this. But that's just so much to ask for, and that's why we have the Houndour down. This play is so stupid. There's no reason I should be making this play. I can't count. When I made this play, I was like, oh, this thing hits for 200. 3 single strike energies is 220, which is a knockout. Stupid play. Does Mello ever misplay? Yes, especially on stream. Don't do this play. We KO the Zacian. We keep the squishy thing on the bench. This thing gets knocked out by like everything dark type. We can even KO it with a Houndoom and a couple single strike energies. I think 3, right? 5, 7, 9. Yep. And 3 single strike energies would KO it. That's another reason we bench the Houndour. But you know what? We're going to make the incorrect play here and hope to not get punished. We leave all of the energy on the field, which also gives us a chance to lose the game. Now, if my opponent gets a V-Union out, they don't have to hit like 4 saucers to attack with it. They just have to go Bronzong, attach, or saucer. And we're in a really bad spot. So, such a bad play there. No reason to do that. Always attack your opponent's threat if you can. How does my opponent win the game? Zacian V-Union. How does my opponent set it up? By having energy on the field. What do? Remove the energy. Crushing Hammer is not the only way to remove energy. Taking knockouts is the same thing as hitting 3 Crushing Hammer heads here. That's something that I was originally taught when I first started playing the game. And it's something that I think a lot of people just need to hear as well. Like, Hammer's really cool. It's a great card, whatever. But you know what? Taking a knockout does the same thing. There's a Raihan by my opponent. Okay, so what they can do now is potentially, yeah, there's got to be a Crobat. They can Crobat, they can get their last V-Union piece in the discard pile because they currently have 3, and a switching card or a balloon. And then we're in a bad spot. There's a Great Ball. Do they hit it? They don't. Can't see how many cards are in deck. They have 14 cards left in deck, so pretty low probability because they used Peony earlier as well, or Peonia. They're going to go ahead and try and wall with the Zamazenta. We have not lost the game yet. What we can do here is, we haven't lost the game at all. They're going to knock off the energy. We can earn back double energy. We can go ahead and single strike roar back onto the active. Quick ball, thin, capture thin, and we win the game anyway. But let me really quickly run through what we're going to do. So we're going to earn a Vitality. Put 2 single strike energies back in the deck. We're going to go ahead and single strike roar. Actually, we're single strike reward to the bench, I think would have been the correct play there. Urn, single strike reward to the bench, 1-2, capture to the active, go ahead and grab a basic. No, do not grab a basic out of the deck. The reason we're not going to grab a basic is we can still Crobat. We go Urn, capture, quick ball. I think we would quick ball the Urshifu or the top deck to grab a Crobat. Go ahead and dig with Crobat before the Marnie, because all we need is a boss. We have one boss left in deck, or an Umbreon VMAX, or an Evo Incense. So what the play would have been, we obviously top decked it, so it didn't matter, because I am actually just goated at the game, and you should hit the sub button on YouTube because of how good I am for top decking that card despite my terrible misplay. But that's what we would have done. We would have gone capture to the active, Urn, double single strike roar to the benched Umbreon, quick ball for a Crobat, dark asset for what would have been 4 cards, and then see either hit a research, a boss, an incense, or we could still hit the Marnie and just have thin the deck with the Crobat and hopefully hit the gust effect. But we hit the gust effect. A lot of options in single strike for sure. Doing the math is one of the most important parts with this deck and one of the reasons why you want to practice it. I didn't get punished for my misplay, but we definitely had the chance to get punished for sure. So like I said, I like this game. There was a lot of decision making. We dead drew in the middle there, but it's like, playing specific things, kind of mapping out, okay, I'm going to do this, this, this. And even if I keep dead drawing, I have plays to make. And that's one of the best things you can do. When you are not drawing well, don't just be like, oh, I'm going to lose. And oh my goodness, one of the worst things you can do as a player is click up here and go to concede immediately. You have to learn to win when you're losing, when things are going bad. The best players in the world will make comebacks that you will never, ever, ever make if you scoop the game early. I'm not saying this one wasn't that bad, but do not just automatically scoop because things are slightly inconvenient. I'm done with this. No, try to play them out. That will make you better at the game. Hopefully you got something out of this. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all the other YouTube stuff, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.